I've always thought of myself as a confident person. I've never struggled with self-image until recently. My girlfriend, Claire, and I have been together for 2 years. And when we first met, I was in the best shape of my life. I weighed 20 kilograms less than I do now and was dedicated to my MMA training and gym sessions. I felt strong, fit, and attractive, but as our relationship progressed, I slowly began to let my routine slip. In the beginning, we had a great balance. I was training regularly, and Claire supported my passion for fitness. But as time went on, I noticed that she would often suggest we skip gym sessions to spend more time together. I was head over heels for her, so I complied. I thought it was worth it to prioritize our relationship. After all, it was great being with her. We would binge watch shows, go out for dinners, and just enjoy each other's company. Yet, with every skipped training session, I felt a little less like myself. A month ago, everything changed. It started with a simple comment that shattered my world. Claire looked at me one night and said she didn't find me attractive all the time anymore. My heart sank. She went on to say that sometimes she found other guys more attractive than me and that I wasn't her type anymore. I had always been confident, but hearing those words felt like a punch to the gut. She said my appearance had changed, that I'd become fat, and that she didn't see me as the handsome guy she once did. I remember feeling utterly crushed. I had always felt special to her, and now I felt like I was nothing. The past few months had been challenging for me. I had been busy with school and work, and I let my routine slip. My weight had crept up, and I hadn't noticed until it was pointed out to me. I had become less dedicated to my training, and Claire's words made me realize how far I had fallen from my previous self. I wanted to be the man she first fell in love with. But the more she compared me to other men, the more trapped I felt. I spent weeks internalizing my feelings. I wanted to talk to her about how her comments hurt, but every time I tried, I felt this knot in my stomach. I feared her reaction. I didn't want to start another fight. Then one day, she saw my TikTok activity. I had been watching videos of a girl dancing. To be honest, I didn't think much of it. I just found her choreography fun and engaging. But Claire didn't see it that way. When she confronted me about it, I could see the anger in her eyes. The accusations came pouring out. She claimed I was cheating on her just by watching another girl. I was taken aback. How could she say that when she had just told me she found other guys more attractive? It felt hypocritical. In my mind, I was just enjoying some harmless entertainment. I tried to explain, but she was furious, throwing around insults and digging up past traumas. I felt like I was being attacked for simply trying to unwind. The whole situation left me feeling numb. I had spent weeks feeling inadequate because of her comments about my appearance. And now I was being accused of infidelity for watching a TikTok video? I could hardly process it. I told her that I felt trapped in this relationship, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to navigate my emotions. Instead of being a source of support and love, Claire had become a source of pain and anxiety. In the days that followed, I struggled to find my footing. Claire made attempts to bridge the gap, showering me with affection and gifts. She tried to engage with my interests, hoping to rekindle the spark we once had. I appreciated her efforts, but something felt different. I felt as if the vibrant connection we had was slowly fading. The moments that once felt effortless now felt strained. I felt like I was living a lie, pretending everything was fine when inside, I was unraveling. For 2 weeks, I dealt with the aftermath of our confrontation. I tried to be present, to push through the discomfort and just enjoy her company. I thought that perhaps, if I put in more effort, we could get back to where we once were. But every time I looked at her, the memories of her words echoed in my mind. The nagging doubt crept in. Was I still the person she fell in love with? Did she truly care for me? Or was she just trying to manipulate me back into shape for her own comfort? As time went on, I began to feel indifferent. The love I once had for her felt like it was slipping away, replaced by a sense of frustration and disappointment. I was angry at myself for letting her words affect me so deeply. But I was also angry at her for failing to recognize the emotional toll her actions had taken. I felt as though I had lost my identity in this relationship. I was no longer the confident person I used to be. Instead, I had become a shadow of my former self, consumed by the need for validation and acceptance. My friends noticed the change in me. They would ask how I was doing, and I'd smile and nod. But inside, I felt like I was crumbling. They encouraged me to think about my happiness and what I truly wanted. As I reflected on my relationship with Claire, it became clear that I was constantly walking on eggshells, afraid of triggering another outburst or confrontation. After a particularly rough week, I decided it was time for a change. I needed to prioritize my own well-being and take a step back from the emotional turmoil. I began hitting the gym again, focusing on my health and fitness. It was liberating to reclaim that part of my life, and I started to see positive changes in my body and mindset. I realized that I could be my own source of happiness without relying on Claire's validation. Eventually, I came to terms with the idea that I might need to end the relationship. The thought was both frightening and freeing. I knew that I deserved to be with someone who appreciated me for who I was, not someone who constantly compared me to others. It was difficult to think about leaving someone I had cared for deeply. But I also recognized that staying would only lead to more heartache. After 2 months of wrestling with my feelings, I made the decision to break up with Claire. It was a decision rooted in self-respect and a desire for happiness. I wanted to be with someone who uplifted me, who celebrated my successes rather than tearing me down. While it was painful to end things with Claire, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. In the weeks that followed, I focused on my healing and rediscovering my sense of self. I reconnected with friends, delving into hobbies that had been sidelined during my relationship. I was determined to rebuild my confidence and embrace life fully. Slowly but surely, I began to feel like myself again, stronger and more resilient than before. Reflecting on my journey, I learned the importance of self-love and the need to set boundaries in relationships. I realized that love should not come at the cost of my well-being, and I deserved to be with someone who valued me as much as I valued myself. As I moved forward, I felt hopeful about the future, ready to embrace new opportunities and connections without the weight of past hurt holding me back.
The night of the party had been a whirlwind of excitement. I had planned every detail meticulously, hoping to create the perfect celebration for my boyfriend, Jay. He had turned 30, and I wanted to mark the occasion with an unforgettable gathering of close friends and family. The decorations were vibrant, the food was catered from his favorite restaurant, and the playlist was curated with songs that had defined our relationship. I wanted it to be a night filled with laughter and joy. But I couldn't have foreseen the storm that was about to unfold. As guests arrived, the atmosphere was electric. Jay was in high spirits, cracking jokes and mingling effortlessly. I watched him from a distance, my heart swelling with love and pride. But as the evening wore on, I began to notice something unsettling. One of my closest friends seemed to be lingering around Jay more than usual. At first, I brushed it off as harmless. They had known each other for years, after all. But as I observed their interactions, I noticed the way they whispered and exchanged glances that lingered just a bit too long. My gut instinct kicked in, telling me something was off. When Jay excused himself to grab another drink, I decided to confront the situation. I grabbed my phone and sent a quick message to one of our mutual friends, asking if they had noticed anything strange between Jay and S. Their response came back almost instantly, confirming my suspicions. They had seen the way they interacted too, but thought it was just friendly banter. I took a deep breath, trying to push aside the rising anxiety in my stomach. Later that night, I found Jay's phone sitting on the kitchen counter. I hesitated for a moment, but curiosity gnawed at me. I picked it up, the screen lighting up as I unlocked it. My heart raced as I scrolled through his messages. That's when I stumbled upon the texts from S. They were explicit, discussing secret meetings, feelings, and a level of intimacy that shattered my heart. My mind raced as I pieced together the implications. It wasn't just flirting, they had crossed a line that I had never imagined would be crossed. Anger surged through me like a wildfire. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and utterly devastated. I wanted to scream, but instead, I took a deep breath and put the phone back down. I needed to confront this, but I wanted to do it in a way that would get everyone's attention. I had spent so much time planning this party, and it felt wrong to let Jay and S continue their charade in front of our friends. With the music pumping and laughter filling the air, I decided it was time to take action. I waited until the party was in full swing, guests engaged in conversations, and drinks flowing freely. Then, with a surge of adrenaline, I called for attention. The chatter gradually quieted as heads turned toward me. Confusion and curiosity etched on their faces. I felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. I revealed the texts I had found, recounting the details of their secret meetings and the way they had been deceiving me right under my nose. Gasps echoed around the room, and the atmosphere shifted from celebratory to tense in an instant. I could see Jay's face drain of color as realization set in, while S looked mortified, her expression a mixture of shock and guilt. My heart raced as I laid bare the truth, feeling a sense of empowerment, but also the weight of the fallout. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Guests whispered among themselves, some looking supportive, while others seemed uncomfortable. Jay stammered out defenses, insisting it was all a misunderstanding, while S tried to downplay the situation, saying it was just a fling. But the words felt like daggers in my heart. I had thought Jay was my partner, my confidant, and here he was, scrambling to save face while I bared my soul in front of our friends. In the aftermath, as the initial shock wore off, the atmosphere became charged with tension. Some guests rallied around me, voicing their support and expressing their anger towards Jay and S. Others, however, felt that I had gone too far. They believed I should have handled the situation privately, that exposing their affair at a party was a betrayal in itself. The division among our friends became painfully clear, and I felt isolated, caught in the crossfire of conflicting opinions. I spent the rest of the evening feeling raw and exposed. I had wanted to stand up for myself, to reclaim my power, but the aftermath of my decision felt heavy. I had succeeded in revealing the truth, but at what cost? The party that was supposed to celebrate love and connection had devolved into chaos, and I felt responsible for the fallout. As the night drew to a close, I found myself retreating to a quieter corner of the house, trying to process everything that had happened. I watched as Jay and S engaged in hushed conversations, their expressions a mix of anger and embarrassment. I felt a flicker of sadness for the relationship we had built, but it was overshadowed by the pain of betrayal. My heart felt heavy, and I realized that I no longer recognized the person I had once loved. The following days were filled with confusion and regret. I received messages from friends expressing their thoughts on the situation, some siding with me, while others criticized my actions. I grappled with the consequences of my choice to expose the affair in such a public manner. While I felt justified in revealing the truth, the chaos that ensued had left me feeling isolated and conflicted. I began to reflect on the nature of trust and betrayal. I had trusted Jay with my heart, and his actions had shattered that trust. The relationship I had envisioned for us had crumbled, and it became increasingly clear that it would take time to heal from the emotional wounds I had sustained. I wondered if I had crossed a line by calling out their infidelity in front of our friends. But part of me felt that I had done what I needed to protect myself. As I distanced myself from Jay and S, I took time to focus on my own well-being. I spent time with friends who supported me, engaged in activities that brought me joy, and began to heal the wounds that had been inflicted. It was a difficult process, but I realized that I had to reclaim my life and my sense of self. The betrayal had stung, but I was determined not to let it define me. In the weeks that followed, I learned to navigate the complexities of my emotions. I was angry, hurt, and disappointed, but I also found strength in my ability to confront the truth. I began to understand that I had every right to stand up for myself and demand honesty in my relationships. The fallout from the party and the exposure of the affair became a pivotal moment in my life. It was a harsh lesson about trust, love, and the importance of standing up for myself. As I moved forward, I felt a renewed sense of empowerment, ready to embrace the future without the weight of betrayal holding me back. Looking back, I knew that I had made the right choice by exposing the truth. While it had come at a cost, it had also paved the way for healing and growth. I was ready to build a new chapter in my life, one where I valued myself and demanded the same respect from others. It was a journey that wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to reclaim my narrative and forge a path that led to a brighter future.